Gideon Porth. I own and operate Atlas Farm. We've been here since 2004. We do a mix of wholesale and retail vegetable crops. We're farming about a little over 100 acres right now, and we sell to grocery stores, distributors, some processors. We have our own on-farm retail store, and we do some farmers markets. We have about 50 employees peak season, and about 20 or so in the winter. We run year-round, and we're constantly looking for efficiency improvements, and happy to participate today. So we're talking today about our Argus Hoe cultivating tool, and we bought that piece of equipment probably about 6 years ago. A large quantity of the crops we grow are lettuce and leafy greens, crops that need frequent cultivation. We're an organic farm, so we don't have herbicides to use. And for years we had spent hours and hours of crew time hoeing almost every acre we grow of those things, which can be up to 60 acres a year. Huge expense, depending on the weed population in a field, but we could spend, up to $1,000 an acre hoeing in bad conditions. So we've always done machine cultivation, but we were looking for something that could really get inside the row and take the place of a person with a hoe. And we had seen finger weeders out and about for a number of years, and spoke with a representative from Colt, which is an Austrian company. At a trade show years ago, we saw their Argus Hoe machine, and we're pretty impressed by it. We actually borrowed one from a local farm that had one to try it out, and just were really impressed. So the machine cost us a little over $10,000, our initial investment, but it has been worth every penny. Like I said, the hoeing cost with handwork, with wages escalating like they are, and the lack of labor out there, it's just a really difficult thing for us to achieve. And that piece of equipment, with two people, we can do the work of a 20-person crew. And if field conditions are right, it's incredibly effective. It doesn't do a 100% job all the time, but it's probably reduced our hoeing time by 70%. It's been a great piece of equipment for us. We've had very little maintenance costs with it. There's some wear parts that we've replaced over the years. It does take a skilled operator to, not so much to operate the tool. It's somewhat simple, just steering down the rows, but there are a lot of adjustments to make that have a big impact on how effective it is. So we need, one person who's very experienced with it. The other person driving can be somewhat inexperienced driver. They just need to drive kind of straight down the row. Because machine steers itself, it's not a really precision driving job like other tractor-mounted cultivators. We'll often use it twice through the crop cycle. We do almost all of our lettuce and greens from transplants. And so our first cultivation might be 10 days to 2 weeks after planting, and another one about 10 days to 2 weeks after. And the machine's quite adjustable. You can do lots of different things with it. We set it pretty close in the row where the fingers are almost touching, and so they're working right in the crop row. Even a tender crop like lettuce can handle that. The fingers are somewhat soft rubber, and they just kind of flex around the plants. And our second cultivation will often widen the gap in the row and set the fingers a little more aggressive, and they can actually do some hilling action. So if there's small weeds that got through that initial cultivation, they can hopefully get buried on the second run. And it's been a great machine. It's durably built, although it has a lot of fine pieces and parts to it. And so we've learned it's something you have to be very careful transporting around. But other than that, it doesn't take much in the way of horsepower. We pull it with anything from a 30 horsepower tractor up to a 100 horsepower tractor, depending on what we have available. We've had a hard time with our lightest cultivating tractor. We have a Ford 1710 that's a very lightweight machine, and it has plenty of pulling power, but it's a pretty long piece of equipment, and just that counterweight can make it difficult on a small tractor. So that tractor will put some weight. We have a front hitch on the machine that we can put a counterweight on, but ideally we run on a little heavier tractor. Most of the time we might be using a New Holland 6610, which is about a 65 horsepower two-wheel drive tractor. But it's been a great tool for us. One big advantage of the Argus hoe, each of the cultivator gangs is on its own kind of floating frame, and so they follow the contour of the field really well. So if we shape beds on all of our land, so we end up with usually a pretty flat bed top, but there's always some irregularities. The flotation will just kind of allow the tool to follow the ground. And we can see a big difference when we use that versus like we have a belly mount finger weeder setup that has all of the same kinds of parts on it, but it's just following the tractor level instead of following the ground. Yeah, I would highly recommend that type of a cultivator to other growers. Like I said, it's paid itself back many times over already for us. If I was shopping for one again, I might look around at some other brands. They're very popular types of cultivators in Europe, and so many European manufacturers make them. Hak, H-A-K, which is, I believe, a Dutch company, makes something almost identical. There's a company in California, Sutton Ag, carries a similar. Stikati is the brand. Ours has been totally satisfactory, but I think it would be worth some price comparison. The only drawbacks I've seen with our machine, the repair parts are quite expensive. The bearings for the finger weeders and even like the sweeps, I mean everything from it. Part of that is having to import from Europe, but it might just be the pricing from that company. It's well built, but there are some kind of weak points in the design. Some of the adjusting bolts that hold all the cultivators in place are easy to strip, and I think it'd be worth looking at other brands for that. It's an incredible efficiency saver. It's really revolutionized how we grow lettuce and greens. It's been one of the biggest improvements that we've ever made here. Yeah, so I would recommend a flat filler to almost anybody. If you're doing more than a few thousand trays a season, it's probably a worthwhile investment. We found this company to be our best bet, but I would certainly encourage shopping around. We were initially setting out to try to find a used machine, just for cost savings, and had a really difficult time tracking ones down. So I guess that would be a word of caution that there doesn't seem to be a lot of used flat fillers on the market. I think they're such useful tools that once a farm gets one, they don't tend to get rid of them. There was a slightly simpler version of this from PAC Manufacturing, this company, that was a little bit less money, that looked like a perfectly suitable machine. We were trying to kind of step up to get something that we won't outgrow too quickly, but that $13,000 price tag, I think you could get something for a little less than that shopping around.
To shovel soil onto these trays, and take a broom and even everything out. And now with this flat filler, it keeps everything off the ground, so it's much more sterile. And it's so much more efficient. And when I'm pressing down, it's called dibbling, so the seeds have a place to sit within each cell. And the vermiculite topper covers each cell evenly, and that dibbling allows the seeds to have room to germinate and come up through the vermiculite. And after we're done at the flat filler station, we'll move down to the vacuum seeder, which is also very efficient as well.
What's going is the vacuum. It uses reverse pressure to keep the seeds in these holes Then there's a button that has a little motor in here that causes the fan to vibrate. If you have little clumps of seeds, it helps you get one seed per cell. And then when you flip it over, a little trigger that reverses the vacuum and kind of shake all the seeds out. Yep, this plate is made for one of our tray types. There's 2 different tray types, 2 different tray plates. It's definitely the fastest way we have it seeding. It's very effective. It's pretty simple. We're still from a old conveyor belt we use for carrots, and then we stuck a lawn fertilizer spreader on here with a drill that rotates the shaft and it helps distribute the vermiculite. Put a little piece of plastic here to help scrape it off the top. So it's basically a simplified version of our soil filling machine.
Yeah.
We built ourselves for like $150.
Yeah, and of course we're looking at thousands of dollars for a machine like that. So
There's
Alright.
2 switches. There's the vermiculite, and then there's the belt.
let's do it.
All of the upgrades we've made in this greenhouse over the years are all things I would never go back on. It's usually just a matter of how much capital is there to make those investments before they can pay back, but they definitely do